So, hi and hello everyone. Good evening. So, thank you for joining us today on the webinar saying goodbye. So, first and foremost, I would like to welcome our lecturer and advisor, the chairperson of Masters in Counseling USM, Dr. Shafrin, for joining us tonight. And yeah, of course, our honorable guest, Mr. Brian and Ms. Sheila, for joining us. So, hi, Brian. So, hi Shira, is Shira here? Hi Shira. So, hope you guys are doing good. So, today we are going to talk about coping with breakups and that. When you say goodbye, the first word that comes to our mind would be loss. So, we are going to talk about how we are going to cope with breakups and that. So, there are two segments in this webinar. The first one will be coping with breakups, which will be covered by Mr. Brian, who's a counselor and also an educator at INTI. And second segment will be covered by Miss Shira on coping with death, who's a student of Masters in Counseling at USM. So now I would like to welcome Mr. Brian first to go with his session, with his talk. Then the second half will be covered by Shira. So yeah, Mr. Brian, it's all yours now.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Saru. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's clear.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian, and I will be speaking on the first part. As Saru has mentioned, when we talk about breakups, death, and all that, she mentioned a very interesting word. She mentioned loss. I think that's something that we all go through in our life. Yeah. So when Saru actually approached me and Saru and her team approached me to do this, I was very excited because I think that nowadays we all go through this, even with our friends, with our family. We sometimes have the breakup can be just like an argument with somebody, and then the person doesn't talk to you anymore. It doesn't have to be girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. It can also be a very close friend, right? These kind of things can happen. All right. So, but first of all, I just want to mention a little bit. My name is Brian. I am a counselor and an educator, and I really am very passionate about mental health. As you can see, you can see all the posters at the back. I'm very big on the advocacy of positive psychology. So I believe that each one of us are good, lovable, and blessed. All right, that's my life tagline. Um, I always like to start with that. Because it starts us on a positive note for maybe the topic is quite heavy for today. Yeah. So what will I be covering today? For my part, I'll be talking about two things. So part one will be broken up into two parts, which is the break, the breakdown part of the breakup. Right. So breakups break down. So it's to show how, or rather, how a person that's undergoing a breakup actually is at that point of time, because at a point of crisis of a particular breakup, or a friend that has left you, betrayed you or something like that, at that moment we talk about uh, a person going through some sort of breakdown. So we'll be looking at that in the first part, and in the second part we will be looking at self-care. And this is something very interesting, because how can we cope with loss of a not really touching so much on death, but maybe you can use the similar techniques as well. But it's more of when somebody that's very close to you decides to end things with you, right? The breakup itself. So basically, when it comes to a breakup, right? I like to teach it in this kind of analogy. When it comes to breakups and all that, people often look at the shadow only. That means what could have been? Oh my gosh, I should have done this. I should have done that. There's a lot of elements of regret. There's a lot of elements of people saying, I don't know what to do. Because what is happening in their life, okay, I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but never mind, let me just say it anyway. So what is happening is that they are magnifying this breakup as the whole of Brian is this breakup. There's no other aspect to me other than this breakup. So that's why I'm only looking at one part of my life, which is breakup. But you have other parts of your life, like your job, your family, your friends, your other things, right? So we're not looking at that. So Helen Keller puts it very beautifully. Helen Keller was somebody that's severely challenged, right? She was visually challenged and was deaf and dumb and so on. So what happened is she actually managed to overcome her adversity and try to think a little bit more positive. And how did she do it? Actually, one of two of her tips, I actually put it in here as well. So later we'll go through. But basically, here's what a lot of people think. Nowadays, a lot of people think when a person or a couple breaks up, right? A couple breaks up, or a pair of good friends decide to end things because of a major argument. What we notice is we always say it's the end of the relationship. But is it really the end of the relationship, or is there a continuation of feelings? Is there a continuation of what is that, attachment and so on? Most likely, if you had that a very serious level of commitment or attachment with the person, it is not the end of the relationship. That means even though it's a clean break, there's never going to be anything ever anymore and things like that due to whatever factors. At the end of the relationship, there may be certain feelings of regret and some other feelings that we're going to go through, feelings of sadness. Well, some people, they end the relationship, they feel very happy and they're very okay. So that's not what we are going to talk about. We are talking about certain crises, certain people that may be undergoing crises during that moment. The reason why we need to talk about this, right? The reason why we need to talk about this is because of the fact that if we do not analyze our feelings after we are betrayed by a friend, or we end the breakup and all that, then what will happen is we will pretend like everything is okay and we will repress those negative memories. And later on, this event would be a traumatic event for you. So we don't want that to happen, right? So that's why when you say the end of the relationship, after a breakup is not the end of the relationship. You have to process your feelings first. And if you give yourself enough time to process it, after that, that is the end of the relationship. Why I say this is because you may seem like it's okay, but deep down inside, after a few days, after a few months, then only it might hit you. So that's why after a breakup, it's good to speak to somebody and so on. So just to let you know what a person that is undergoing crisis during a breakup would possibly feel. Right? Three main things. Of course, there's a lot of other things that the person is feeling. Number one, the depressive symptoms increase. Later we'll go through a few depressive symptoms. Like if you think of depression, right? A person is looking down, withdrawn, crying, a little bit mellow. The mood is very low. Nothing can make me happy. Those kind of feelings may arise in somebody. Secondly, prolonged distress. Why does somebody have distress after the breakup? There's a lot of reasons, later we'll cover, but basically because the trust is not there anymore, the support is not there anymore, and a lot of other reasons. Some people is maybe finance and so on. Later I've written a few factors. So distress may the distress may go on for quite a number of days or months, or sometimes even years for some people. And anger and frustration. This is something very important also, because sometimes you think everything's okay, then after a while, anger and frustration may creep in. I had a few clients where at first they feel everything is okay, breakup is okay. I just feel a little bit sad, Brian. I just feel a little bit sad. Then after a while, suddenly they feel very upset. And then they feel, how can he do like this to me? Blah 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 blah. They suddenly get angry. But 2-3 days ago, or a week ago, when the person came to see me, that no, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. But after a while, the anger sets in, because there are some stages to this actually, right? So that is certain emotions that they may be going through. If you want to see in great detail, I've written a few common emotions that the American Psychological Association seems to associate with loss. But before that, a person that's experiencing loss, the reason why I put this nice black color thing that is moving is because the person's mind literally is like this. It's all over the place. If the person really put in a lot of effort into the friendship or the relationship, this is what is going to happen to them. They will literally be feeling these kind of feelings. sadness. I mean, sadness goes without saying, right? They go through sadness. Some people, they stop eating. Stopping food intake, low levels of mood, feeling suicidal, because that is the end of the world. The person left me, so it's the end of the world. These kind of statements, I won't say it's what is that? You shouldn't have these feelings, but it's a natural feeling that people have because people want to escape the pain or whatever. So that's why some people are suicidal, because the person may be a big source of support that the person has just lost. Especially, let's say, if the person is the head of the family, and then a breakup happens, right, or divorce happens, then what? Then if the person divorces the person that has lesser power in the relationship, the that may cause other strains as well, right? They may cause other strains. Apart from that, of course, the feeling helpless, hopeless. A lot of people tend to feel this kind of feeling. I got nothing. I got nothing left. This is called black and white way of thinking, actually. Because when somebody says there's nothing left, there's no hope for me, gone already, I don't want to go dating already, nobody wants me, and these kind of statements, it's quite absolute statements. So it's we do know that when it comes to this kind of things, it's not no hope, there's always hope. Because it's just that when a person is going through a crisis related to a breakup, their eyes are like this. If you guys can see, I'm not sure whether you guys can see my eyes in the YouTube live, big, but never mind. Yeah, so you're like looking at only one aspect, but not the other aspects. And I don't blame you, because the person was a big source of support. And a very important thing here to note is the one on the left, which is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Why the person break up with me, I feel low self-esteem? Why when someone breaks up with you, you feel low self-esteem? It should be break up, I feel sad because of the relationship. All right, well, why am I attributing the relationship to I having low self-esteem? This is why. When human beings, right, this is how human beings build their personality. When through my interaction with the people that are close to me, I build my personality. So when somebody close to me betrays me, in turn, it is natural for me to feel like I must have done something wrong, or if not, nobody would want me, nobody would trust me. You try to, is something wrong with me? Is something not wrong with me? So the self-esteem issues it is quite common, especially if you are the party that was taken aback, like the breakup happened suddenly, or due to the other partner cheating, or breaking the trust big time, and so on. So low self-esteem may set in as well, especially if you have already these issues in today's world. I notice this is a very, very common thing in some of my clients that I can see. The person broke up with the person, but the person that's coming counseling to me seems to say, hey, I feel very terrible, like I'm a very bad person. But nothing to do with the breakup. You are a good or bad person, nothing to do with that breakup. The breakup is it happened because of some other issues. Why you feel bad about yourself? Then we analyze a little bit, and what we notice is because the person some people derive trust from the relationships with other people, right? If you have bad experiences with everybody, you will realize you have low self-esteem. But that's a story for another topic, yeah? The self-esteem topic. All right, so coming back to this, right now I'm going to explain what causes the breakdown. What do you think causes the breakdown in the relationship? This is something that a lot of people tend to issue with the slides. Hold on, guys. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so coming back to this. So what causes the breakdown in the breakup period? So after the breakup, sometimes everything you feel everything is okay. You feel sometimes there's chance, sometimes so different people hit differently. Different people perceive this differently. But usually when the breakdown happens, when the crisis moment happens, when you suddenly feel the crash of emotions, these are some of the causes of that. Number one, uh, your self-efficacy will sometimes your self-efficacy drops. What does this mean? Your belief in yourself. Earlier I told you, right, your self-esteem drops. So you don't really, sometimes when your self-esteem drops, you don't really believe in yourself, then it can cause you to have depression and other other forms of negative ways of thinking. Then something very important, housing and finance. What is housing and finance? Yes, if let's say the other person had left you has problems, or rather has left you without, let's say, finances, or you dependent on that person for a lot of things, like taking care of your children, for example, or the housing situation, you are staying with the person, then you have to move out. These kind of situations also pose a lot of problems for some people, right? Especially if they don't have a job and they're living in the relationship for a long period of time, then suddenly when they lose that source of financial support also, it may be a problem. I will skip the altered self concept first for now. Co-parenting. Sometimes the couple has children involved, or have a dog together, or those kind of things, and the other person wants to keep the dog, or you want to keep the dog, something like that, and it causes some strain over there. That's why breakups should, after breakups, especially if it's an amicable breakup, means both parties think it's not working out, talking helps. All right. But if not, then these things may cause bigger breakdowns. Insomnia, insomnia also another thing, because you're thinking, and then it causes the breakdown. It causes you to have less sleep and so on. Uh, Shared friends. This is something very common that a lot of people seem to say, where you have already met the family, you have already met the friends, even if it's a pair of good friends, or a pair of a couple, doesn't matter. You have shared friends. Now the friends have to go out with both of you separately, because you are no longer together. So when it comes to these kind of things, it may cause some sort of strain. Some friends may take sides even, right? May take sides. So like say you have 10 friends. Okay, this is just an example. You have 10 friends. 6 friends go to her side, or his side, and then you are left with only 4 friends. And then you're thinking, wow, most of my friends going there, hello, how come they are getting involved, blah, blah, blah. Then that causes more stress, causes more breakdown. It does not help the situation. Unless the friends are good social support, then okay. But when friends start to take sides, then maybe it gets a little bit tricky already. Yeah. So then the last one is withdrawal. Withdrawal is when the person is experiencing depressive symptoms, uh, because the person doesn't want to be. It's very common for people that, let's say, a girl breaks up with me. I start saying I don't like. I'm very angry with all the female species. I don't want to meet anybody. I don't want. I don't even want to go out, because every person out there reminds me of what the person did to me, and so on. So those kind of things may cause the breakdown to happen as well. Right. So that's something that we need to talk about. And the thing that I want to emphasize is altered self-concept. When two people are a couple, or a pair of very, very good friends, you share a very high degree of trust. And like I mentioned earlier, when you have a high degree of trust, you value yourself as, wow, I bring value to this relationship, and I am very, I have a lot of, um, I have a lot of power in this relationship. And when you lose that, you start to blame yourself, you start to label yourself with self concepts that are negative. For example, I am so stupid for doing it. I'm so stupid for trusting the person. I should have seen the signs. These are some common things that people love to say. And when I hear these kind of things, actually, it tells us that, wow, we tend to blame ourselves sometimes for things that are beyond. But if it is your fault, then maybe it's a different situation, right? If it's your fault, probably your crisis would be more blaming yourself for the mistake. But if it's not your fault, you would probably blame yourself for being stupid because you didn't realize it earlier, and other forms of all these negative labels. Why am I so naive? These kind of labels. And especially these crises increases, especially if you have a very difficult breakup. Okay, if you have a very difficult breakup. So what can we do? I've been given a half an hour to talk about this. So if you guys have any further questions, you can always ask in the chat later on. Maybe we can answer them. Yeah, I saw Saru posted a reminder. So the last part for my short sharing today is I want to talk about some common self-care techniques. I'm not going to go with the cliche stuff. I'm going to just give some tips that even anyone that's even not experiencing a breakup can actually use this in their life. How to take care of yourself better so that in case you experience loss, you can kind of cope with it just a little bit better. All right. So firstly, the first thing that we need to talk about is reaching out for help. Very difficult, right? Because we want to maintain macho, sometimes guys want to maintain macho, like no, I cannot show that I said, I cannot show emotion. If I show emotion, then gone already. People will think I cannot handle myself, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of people that want to maintain some sort of image, but at the end of the day, the more you maintain the image, the more you are hiding that negative emotions that we saw earlier, sadness, anger, and all that. The key, psychologists seem to say, the key is to talk about your issues. Never keep quiet about your issues. Having a bad day, talk to somebody. Having a bad day, reach out. That's what the common consensus is. Because at those moments where people break up, people often think they are totally alone. They are totally alone because they feel that, suddenly their big source of support is gone. This is in a relationship, unless they have other healthy sources of support, then maybe it's a little bit easier, but sure they will feel it a little bit at least if the trust level was very high. Even friendships that break up after 10 years and things like that. So the feelings of loneliness is extremely common. So the first thing is to reach out to family and friends. Yeah, family and friends to support you. Not family and friends to bicker about the person, but family and friends to just be around you, take you out for makan, do other things. Talk about your feelings. You have to talk about things. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that. And they don't give you any advice. They just listen. That is how usually self-care works for breakups. Because no matter what they tell you, forget the person. You think you will forget. That is, sometimes it won't work, right? It won't work. So get family and friends that actually would just listen, and that's it. Support online. There's a lot of online support groups. Recently, I didn't know about this, but my student told me that, sir, you're giving a talk about this. You should check out this group. And on Facebook, there are so many groups on post-breakup support groups all over the world. Right? So you can check that out as well. How people can move on. There are a lot of online resources as well. But of course, please be wary of this. Go to psychological websites and not like some magazine website or what. Then maybe it might not help so much. Apart from that, of course, you can reach out to members in the community by joining events and so on. But the last one, which is probably the most important one, is to speak to a therapist. A counselor. I believe there are USM students here. If you don't know who to, you don't know any counselors and all that, you can always reach out to the group over here. I'm sure they can send you to some counselors to speak about whatever is going through your mind. Or you can go to a psychologist if it's really too much. You can always go to the hospital. If let's say you cannot eat, you cannot sleep, every time you want to eat, you vomit because you're worried. Then maybe you would want to go and talk to somebody. You have to see a therapist. When you have fever, you go to the doctor. So when you have we call this a mental fever or a crisis moment, we need to speak to someone. Because if your family and friends are not very good sources of support, or they keep giving you advice and you cannot take it and all that, please talk to a stranger. Sometimes it helps. All right, there are a lot of free resources out there also, so you can reach out. So speaking to a therapist does not mean that you are severely mentally disturbed or crazy. That's a terrible word. I don't know why people say, I don't want people to know I'm crazy. Like, you're not crazy. You go to doctor, do people say you are going to die? No, they don't say that, right? They say that you have a fever. Okay, fine. So I have a problem. I go and see a counselor and talk about it. That's it. Talk about it, move on. Learn how to cope and move on. That is basically how it works. And the therapist will go through all the emotions that you're going through, the negative emotions that you're going through. Maybe you are going through the loneliness. So they can help you by saying, okay, today maybe you can go and ask 5 of your friends to write good things about yourself. And then when you ask them to do this kind of homework, kind of, wow, I got friends. This is actually a real thing that I gave my client one time. I told because this boy broke up with a girlfriend due to some pressures, mutual breakup, but the fella was gone now. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, felt it's all alone and so on. So I told him, go ahead, get 5 friends to write good things about yourself, just 10 good things about yourself. And he came back and said, "Well, I didn't know I got friends that really value me. I felt like that person, the girl, was my biggest source of support, and because he also family also not really very supportive, so he felt that the girl was the biggest source of support. And after that, bam, gone already. Everything is gone. But now, when I did this activity, I kind of find out that maybe I can talk to this person. Maybe I can ask this person out for teh tarik to the mama shop just to have a makan. So you see, that is how we slowly go. But you have to talk about it. Eventually, you have to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, it's repression. You are putting it at the back of your mind. Then later on, it will become, the crisis will change into not recovery, but the crisis will change into this thing called trauma. Then later on, depression and all that may be there. And another thing is positive self-talk. So one of the things that I always tell people to do is write down positive things. Write down positive things. Even though you don't like it, write down positive things, messages around you to remind you that, hey, I have support. My family loves me. I am worthy. Earlier I told you I am good, lovable, and blessed. You know, this kind of statements seem to help people quite a bit. Um, at least remind themselves that, hey, I still have worth. Remember, we can either talk about the breakup very directly, or we can also use this to boost our self-esteem so that we can move on. Right? Because a lot of times the biggest hurdle to move on from a breakup is not the person, but it's yourself. Because we are looking like that, we are looking inward. So when you start valuing yourself, it kind of helps a little bit more. Right? Okay. So before I go into this, another point that I want to make regarding affirmation. When, let's say, you have a loss of a friend and things like that, it is also to it's also good to write down the friends that you actually have, the names of the friends that you actually have, and just put it around you, or put their pictures around you, or put a wallpaper slideshow of your other friends to remind you of these people, so that you know that, wow, actually, my whole world was this person. Because most likely, if you're in a relationship, your whole phone will be full of the person's picture, right? Or your pictures of you two together and all that. It's good to remove all these things to not remind you of that, but you have to talk about it verbally. You don't need to be reminded of it every day. Because if it's in your phone, you're going to look at it every day. And then you look at it, you're going to cry. It's a downward spiral. It's the same thing over and over again, and it breeds it into becoming a trauma. Of course, when I'm saying it, it sounds very easy, but this is extremely difficult. So for each person also is different, because we all have different resilience levels. But what we need to do is analyze that loss. So when you are writing positive things about yourself, also put positive pictures around you. Look at these things at the back here. So if I go through any loss of any kind, breaking up doesn't only mean breaking up with a boyfriend or girlfriend. It can also mean breaking up with close friends. It can also mean loss of anything. When you're going through a negative thing, loss of job and so on, the feelings are the same. The feelings are quite similar, and you realize all these things around me seem to boost my and show me that wow, there's actually a creative world out there that, like all these comic book characters that you can see, creative world out there for me to life is much more than just this one aspect that's bothering me right now. So this is my approach, but of course some people may have different approaches, but this is just my approach, sharing for all of you. And when we want to reframe our relationships with other people, right? We are trying to reframe relationship, begin to trust people again, and so on, right? So the first thing we need to do is stop. What does this mean? Why do I need to stop? I feel like life has already stopped for me. No. Stop here doesn't mean only stop. You have to look, analyze your situation, brainstorm with somebody and say, how come I'm feeling like this? Why am I feeling regret? Why am I feeling, I'm feeling regret because what? If it's because most of the time, when people are like this, I don't want to see anybody anymore. I want to stay in my room. I don't want, this kind of feelings. It's often very irrational because we are only looking at one aspect. We are not looking at all the other aspects of your life, all your talents and so on. So we need to look at our situation. Is this working or not? Because some people after a breakup, they cannot go to work. They cannot go to work. They literally they get up in the morning, sit down, have their coffee, go back to sleep. And when this is one of my clients, and when I spoke to him, I said, is there any way you can just put your clothes beside your bed and just wear it? I said, Brian, I cannot get out of the bed. Every time I get out of bed, I feel like crying. That's a depression symptom because it interferes with your daily life already. So when you know that kind of thing is going on, you need to speak to somebody already. If not, it gets a little bit tricky. Of course, you can do the other things that I mentioned, but all those are side issues. The number one thing when you're going through this is you have to speak to someone, either a close friend or a counselor or anybody else. So this is something that we can do. You look at the situation, and the last thing to do when you look at the situation is to, of course, move on. Move on is the worst thing to tell somebody that's undergoing a breakup, right? Hey, move on lah. It's easier said than done. But the moving on process is a gradual process, and it's different for you, it's different for me, it's different for everybody, right? Whatever works for you. That's why when you talk about breakup, there's no set way one. Like, okay, you do this, everything will be fine. Of course, we do different things. Whatever works for you, kind of works for you. And spending time with friends and family and all that after you know, hey, I think I'm losing control. It's interfering with my life. The thoughts are interfering. I'm thinking until late night. I cannot sleep. I think I need to talk to someone. Yeah? Talk to somebody. Also, give yourself time to heal. Why I say give yourself time to heal is, okay, no, not why. How do you give yourself time to heal? Focus on things that you have not done before and you always wanted to do. Interesting, isn't it? So focus on things that you have not done before. Usually when I want to give a punchline, that's when the slide doesn't move. But anyway, never mind. Yeah. So when it comes to this kind of thing, when you give yourself time, right, to do things that you have not done, you always wanted to do. For example, you always wanted to redecorate your home. And these are just some examples. You always wanted to cook something that you have not done before. You see this a lot in movies. They will cook a cupcake and then sadly they will eat by themselves, right? Why do people do all this? These are things that help people move on. Of course, in the movie, all is like very sad. They really overdo it. But in reality, especially if you do activities together with other people, going for a movie with your friends, these kind of things, it helps us detach a little bit from those feelings. But again, I've been saying this multiple times, we have to continue talking about it eventually. And the eventually needs to be soon, because if I'm feeling like this, I go out, I go for a movie and all that. When I come back, I'm okay already. I need to speak to somebody about what I was, hey, this afternoon, I was feeling this way, blah, 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 blah. You cannot just distract all the time. But if let's say you are at a point where you just need to clear your head, right? You just want to clear your head. It is good to relax and do things that you have not done before. Because, like for example, when you're cleaning or remodeling your room or whatever, you are focused on that. So you will finish it, and after you finish it, you feel a sense of accomplishment, increases your self-esteem a little bit more. Especially if you're doing tasks with friends, and then it increases your friendship level, your trust level with your friends. And slowly we move on. It's a gradual process, a slow process nevertheless, but quite a gradual process. And when we talk about these things, I would say have a kind of work-life balance to this, or rather, in this sense, worry-life balance. What does worry-life balance mean? You you set a time. Okay, tonight I will think about it at 9 o'clock, and I will talk to Brenda about it tonight. Tonight I'll go to Brenda for counseling at 9 o'clock. I'll talk about it. But the whole day today, I will do this, I will do that, I will do this, I will do that. In fact, actually, since we have a little bit more time, right, Saruk? I want to share one more thing. Yeah. So one more thing that you can do is track your mood. Track your mood. If you notice if you notice yourself at the end of the day. So, like for me, at the end of every day, I always see, okay, did I have a good day or did I not have a good day? If I had a good day, okay, fine. I don't need to do anything. But if I did not have a good day and I worried about something, I worried about, like, say, for this topic, I worried about a loss that happened. I worried about a breakup. I started thinking, oh my God, I should have. All these thoughts came in. I need to do an activity to stop or to reduce these thoughts a little bit, such as speaking to somebody about it. That's the most effective. The most effective is to talk about it, lah. But apart from this, you should do all these other things. You can do all these other things as well. To slowly, when you track your mood, the days after the breakup. Also, maybe if you have a close friend, you can tell the friend, can I just ask something of you? Maybe in the next few weeks, every day, can you just send me a text? Just check on me. And then the person, of course, the person must be trusted, lah. Then the person can talk to you, every day, can say, hey, everything okay today? No lah, today I feel very down lah. Come, let's go for teh tarik. Come, let's go for burger or something like that. Do something together with your friends. And these kind of things help people, because after a breakup or a loss or any form of loss, the number one thing is you feel alone, loneliness, and of course these other things that I mentioned earlier. But the loneliness can stop somebody from moving on. Okay, loneliness, depression. Loneliness is only a step away from depression. So because of that, when you feel like you don't have support, what we are actually doing is we are not looking around us. Because once I went for a talk, and the psychologist that was speaking said this: there's always one person in the world that will always love you. But I'm not going to say who the person is, because it's to each person is different. But if you think in your mind, there's always one person that will ask you, "Are you okay?" Or they will show you some sort of support. There's always somebody. If you don't believe me, right, do this. But don't do this, lah. Just think of the situation. You go out on the street, right, in Penang Road, or wherever you are, a very busy area, and you just start crying. Somebody eventually will come and ask you, "Hey, is everything okay?" This almost always happens in a big place. And when we see these kind of things, and you can go on YouTube and type all these social experiments, you can see a lot of these things happen in the world. And you notice that there's always one person out there that will always love you. Because they don't have to love you like how the girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, because that's probably what you're expecting at that moment. But they can at least offer some sort of support, or in some cases, lifeline, because you may be suicidal, so lifeline. All right. All right. So with that, I would like to. Okay. With that, I would like to end my sharing today with a quote by Confucius. It doesn't matter how fast you're going as long as you do not stop, right? That's the most important thing that we need to know in life, right? How slowly or fast you go is not important with this breakup or friendship ending kind of situation. It doesn't matter how slowly you go. It doesn't matter today I do affirmation, Brian. It doesn't work lah. How can lah? You're terrible lah. Your tips. Okay, today it doesn't work. Tomorrow it doesn't work. Following day doesn't work. Fourth day it works. It's like that one. It's a gradual process. So, according to Confucius, of course, he was talking about life in general, but we do not stop trying. Okay. So, with that, I would like to pass it on to the moderator for today and for the next section. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brian, for the interesting sharing. That was so nice. I like the starting part when you said that when someone break up, they tend to just focus on the breakup. They tend to forget the job they have, the family they have. And then you have given a lot of tips on self-care. And the emphasis was given on speaking to someone. As Brian said, we have this taboo of speaking to a therapist, a counselor. Then we say like, oh, you are a crazy person. You're going to speak to someone. So breaking those taboos, it's very good to speak to someone. As Brian said, this was very good sharing. And the best part that I think everyone of us should have loved when Brian said that there is definitely someone, at least one person who loves us. That is like very nice lah. So yeah, we're done with the first session. So before we move on to the second session, I just want to say we are live on School of Education YouTube. We are also live on the USM Support Team Facebook and on the BHEPA Facebook. So thank you to the School of Education, BHEPA and USM Support Team for the collaboration. And yeah, if you have any question, do feel free to drop your questions on the comment box. And if you don't want to review yourself and you want to stay anonymous, you can ask your question on slido.com. The access code has been given at the chat box of FB and also our WebEx. So yeah, at the end of the session, at the end of the webinar, we will throw all the questions to the speakers lah. We'll let them answer. So for now, I think we will move to Shira for the second session on coping up with that. So yeah, hi Shira, are you here?
Yes, hi.
Hi Shira, so
You,
it's
everyone.
all
Okay.
yeah. So
Dengar
hope
dah?
you're yeah, dengar.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah.
Can I start already?
Yes, Shira, it's all yours now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening to everyone yang join hari ni, ada dekat Webex. Lepas tu, I rasa kita ada live dekat USM Support System and also YouTube, right? Okay. Thank you everyone yang join. So, okay, I would also thank you and congrats to Brian already done his lot. Sorry, I cannot listen to what Brian said. That's okay. So today's topic we talk about coping with breakups and that. Okay, so like Brenda told me that Brian already talked more about breakup. So I will talk more about that kematian. Okay. So today I will talk more santai because I only want to share about my experience, okay, pengalaman saya sendiri dan juga macam mana saya handle tentang kehilangan yang melibatkan kematian. Or mungkin ada yang pernah dengar perkataan grief. Okay, so that's what I want to share today. Okay, so long story short about my experience, macam mana saya boleh mempunyai pengalaman tentang kematian ni. Okay, macam semua orang tahu right, sekarang tengah musim COVID. Okay, sekarang kita dah ada Omicron and now kita ada, I think ada variant baru kot. Ultra or something like that. Okay, so macam COVID pun dah makin hebat sekarang. Okay, so I also is one of the yang terpilih positive COVID. Okay, so like last year during raya, my family and I everyone semua kena COVID, and also because of that also my mom passed away because of COVID. So like apa yang I rasa last year is like the hardest time for me. Sebab I tak pernah merasai satu kehilangan yang besar. So that's kehilangan my mom is like first time. Okay, I'm facing a very big loss. Okay, so like macam I sendiri pun first time rasa tak tahu nak buat apa. And I think one of the thing yang funny, last year juga I baru masuk kelas grief, crisis and grief. So it's like I masuk kelas crisis and grief, like if you are like everyone, I from master counselling kan, so everyone yang ambil master counselling mungkin pernah ada masuk kelas crisis and grief. So macam I terus kena apply apa yang I belajar dekat crisis and grief tu to myself. Okay, so dalam duration I kena COVID tu lebih kurang sebulan lah sebab I kena quarantine dekat rumah, then I kena warded, lepas tu I kena sambung quarantine dekat rumah, and then my mom pass away, macam dia masuk ICU critical semua, so I boleh cakap duration tu dalam sebulan, lebih kurang sebulan, almost 1 month. Okay, then during that time I don't want to share anything to people. Macam I tak nak kongsi apa yang I hadapi tu dekat orang lain. I tak bagi tahu my friends at all what happened to me. The only people yang tahu cuma my family member, macam relative, sebab of course lah what happened to my family, of course lah my relatives tahu kan. Okay, tapi even like my relative pun dengar pun semua daripada my siblings. Tak ada pun yang dapat info daripada I. But bila I disahkan positif, sampailah my mom pass away, I memang jadi tak nak share, tak nak bercakap tentang perkara tu dekat orang lain. Like when people contact me, tanya pasal benda lain, I akan jawab macam biasa. But I don't let diorang tahu pun apa yang I rasa sekarang. Even like my lecturer pun time tu I tengah kelas untuk projek. So even my own supervisor pun tak tahu apanya yang berlaku. Sebab sedangkan dalam duration tu I ada kelas projek. But of course I just focus on my project during class, so I memang tak share apa-apa pun. Okay. So after I rasa I ada program dengan Dr. Syafrin, so lepas Dr. Syafrin dengar, so Dr. Syafrin said apa yang I rasa time tu itu merupakan satu krisis. So I tengah facing crisis that time. Okay. And then kalau orang tanya I kenapa I tak nak share, I think one of the reason kenapa I tak nak bercakap dengan orang, kenapa I memang tak nak share dengan orang is because I don't want people to ask me about what happened. I don't want to answer that question. Macam like, macam mana boleh kena COVID? Okay, macam kenapa kena warded semua? Okay, I don't want to listen to that question. I rasa soalan-soalan tu membebankan. Okay, I think after macam I sekarang baru I macam like discover the biggest reason kenapa I don't want to share anything to people is because I don't want to get that kind of question. Okay, I tak nak jawab soalan-soalan yang macam tu. Tapi honestly my feelings at that time macam like you know something yang besar, like batu besar hempap yourself. Like I feel so burden. Okay, I feel so macam terbeban, sangat-sangat terbeban during that time. But at the same time, I don't want to talk to people. I just want seorang-seorang je. And kebetulan time tu I dekat seorang rumah. Macam I kena warded pun semua seorang-seorang because like my parents already in ICU, so I cannot meet them. My other family member quarantine dekat tempat lain. So I like totally alone at that time. So itu yang like menambah yang I tak nak bercakap dengan orang. I don't want to interact to anybody. Even like my siblings pun WhatsApp I tanya if I'm okay, time I warded semua I okay, I just balas okay tu je. I tak elaborate panjang-panjang sebab during that time I memang tak nak bercakap, tak nak interact dengan sesiapa. Okay. But I think dalam 2 weeks kot, dalam duration 1 month tu, dalam minggu yang ketiga dah nak habis lah, dan habis dalam duration tu, I finally tell my best friend. The only reason kenapa tiba-tiba I bercerita dengan kawan baik I, sebab I takut kalau I mati tak ada siapa tahu. Okay, so that's why okay, I finally tell my best friend lah macam, nanti kalau I mati tak ada siapa tahu pula, so I end up tell my best friend what happened to me. So even my best friend pun macam terkejut because like macam we always contact each other tapi dia tak tahu pun what happened to me. And the funny thing, lepas I cerita dekat dia after what happened to me, batu besar yang hempap I tadi semua hilang. All beban yang I rasa tadi, everything like gone, hilang macam tu je. Like bila I rasa apa yang I rasa berat dalam duration almost 1 month tu, hadap COVID, hadap like my mom already critical, semua macam hilang. Hanya setakat I bercerita dengan kawan I je. Okay. I only cerita, macam dia pun dia tahu, dia just senyap, dia dengar, and then dia tak ada respon yang hebat mana pun, dia just more focus on dengar apa yang I cakap. But all my burden semua hilang. Okay, that's when I realised like macam, okay, that's why orang selalu cakap that we need to tell others. Okay, that's macam like the big thing yang I realised. Okay, so then I want to talk about grief. Okay. Macam I cakap lah, sebab I baru belajar kelas grief tahun lepas juga. I rasa I baru habis kelas grief dengan crisis macam tu lah. Then I face benda ni kan. Kalau orang tanya I, sebab macam kira perkara tu dah 6 bulan, if I'm handle my grief well, okay, I can say that I think yes. And adakah I masih dalam grief tu? And I think the answer is yes tu. Okay, sebab grief ni dia ambil masa. Dia tak sekejap. Kita perlukan masa. Okay. So, macam kita tahu lah, macam kalau kita belajar grief, I think as macam banyak counselling student dekat sini kan. Okay, I think ramai pun tahu tentang stage of grief kan. Denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Okay. Dalam grief process tu, I rasa semua stage tu. But I tak kata stage tu tersusun, tapi every part of the phase, okay, I rasa the denial state, okay, mungkin sekarang acceptance state, okay. Semua benda tu I rasa, cuma dia tak tersusun like we belajar teori ke lah kan. Okay. Awal-awal lepas kematian tu semua, like I cakap, I tak pernah share. I memang tak nak interact. So of course lah dalam 1 month tu I tak buat Instagram story ke WhatsApp story ke, memang literally I tak buat lah kan. But after a day my mom dikebumikan, I finally buat story. I buat story about that thing lah. Then everyone semua terkejut. Like macam tiba-tiba ada story orang meninggal dunia. So and then adalah few of my friends yang call, tanya. And okay, macam I cakap, I tak nak interact dengan orang because I think soalan-soalan dia orang membebankan. But after I get a call from few of my friends yang tanya I okay ke tak, it turned out to be great. Like macam bila dia orang call, I nampak dia orang call je, somehow I rasa terharu. Somehow I rasa macam like there's people that want nak share what I feels. Okay, so like macam sedangkan apa yang I rasa before ni, kalau orang interact dengan I rasa berat. But after I get a call daripada kawan-kawan I untuk tanya I okay ke tak, it turned out I sangat terharu dan I rasa I boleh handle benda tu, I boleh kurangkan I punya tangisan tu because like I have people to talk to. Okay, so it's like a very big thing. Like macam even diorang pun just tanya I'm okay, diorang tak tanya lebih, diorang mungkin tanya lebih just kenapa. But it turned out to be very very great. Okay, memang sangat-sangat bagus. So experience yang I rasa tu, I rasa macam okay, now I know that I need to talk to others actually. Okay. And dalam proses grief tu, of course there's a lot of perkara yang apa yang I rasa kan. So one of the thing yang awal-awal I rasa, I hate when people mention about my mom. Macam after tu like I'm going to my intern, I hate when people ask about her. So every time bila macam ada orang tanya pasal dia, I just jawab sekali, then I stop and I teruskan topik yang lain. Okay, so that's what I feel lah. Okay, then based on apa yang I rasa tu, I realise dua benda yang I think mungkin yang orang yang mungkin tengah mungkin yang ada dengar yang ada dekat sini yang mungkin pernah merasai grief ataupun sedang ataupun mungkin akan, harapnya tak lah, but if you feel and maybe you can like take this as a tips maybe, ataupun mungkin yang mungkin dah pernah rasa, mungkin dapat feelings like apa yang diorang rasa selama diorang rasa sebelum ni, everything, semua benda tu normal. Okay, so two big things yang I think I really love to share about dealing with grief is, first macam tadi lah, like I tadi mention, like telling others. And then yang kedua, give yourself time. Okay, like macam telling others ni, okay, I think mungkin ada orang yang akan balas balik macam orang lain takkan faham apa yang kita rasa. I think we always dengar benda tu. Like nobody will understand what we feels. And of course, betul. Like even dua orang tu hilang orang yang sama, perasaan dia orang takkan sama because we whole humans. Okay, our feelings will never be like totally same. Tapi dengan ada orang yang dengar apa yang kita rasa, is actually enough. That's why banyak tips how to be a very pendengar yang baik. So macam kenapa kita kena jadi pendengar yang baik. That's why tak semua orang boleh mendengar dengan baik. Okay, so maybe yang tengah belajar counselling ni pun tahu kan how to be a very good pendengar. Okay, sebab kenapa? Bila seseorang tu bercerita, so maksudnya they trust us. And bila diorang cerita tu sebenarnya diorang mengeluarkan satu beban daripada diri diorang. That's why it's very important untuk orang yang mengalami sesuatu tu bercerita, dan it's very important tu untuk orang lain menjadi pendengar yang baik. Okay. And then yang kedua is give yourself time. Okay. Maksudnya macam I even 6 bulan pun I still rasa my grief belum habis lagi. So mungkin yang pernah mengalami grief, I just want to say that it's okay, just take your time. Macam I cakap tadi lah, macam awal-awal dulu I tak suka orang mention pasal my mom. Okay, then tak salah pun sebenarnya kalau kita tak suka. Maksudnya we tengah handle our grief. So we don't expect for people to understand. So instead of we want people to understand, we can never change others. So kita yang ubah benda tu. When we talk about bila orang tu mention pasal perkara yang kita tak suka, so awal-awal lagi kita put a stop. Like macam apa yang I selalu buat bila orang tanya, okay, I akan jawab sekali, dan I memang akan terus ubah topik. Okay, naturally like ubah topik. So macam kita pun tak sakitkan hati dia, and we also didn't hurt our feelings. Because it is very important untuk jaga feelings kita masa tu. Because like when we are in grief state, bila kita lost something yang besar, okay, our feelings, our mental, we can say tak stabil sangat. So it's very important untuk kita pentingkan diri kita. So that's why I said always give yourself time. Jangan paksa diri kita untuk move on cepat sangat. Like mungkin macam bila kita sedih, macam kita tengok orang lain pun kematian parents juga, tapi macam seminggu 2 minggu dia dah okay. Okay. But tapi kita rasa macam kenapa kita tak okay lagi. But kita tak tahu apa yang dia rasa. Mungkin dia hanya okay dekat depan orang lain, but inside we don't know. So kita jangan samakan diri kita dengan orang lain. Okay. Our acceptance tak sama. Even myself pun, I rasa I'm really glad that I belajar counselling. So I boleh apply apa yang I belajar. So even I apply pun, it take me a long time to handle with my own grief. So and I think that's why yang I cakap we need to tell others, because kalau kita pendam seorang-seorang pun dia tak bagus sangat sebenarnya. And mungkin bila kita tak tahu nak cerita dekat siapa yang tak semestinya kita kena cerita dekat orang yang kita rapat ataupun orang yang macam family member kita, tak. Okay, kita cerita dengan orang yang kita rasa kita nak cerita. Jangan paksa diri kita untuk cerita dekat orang yang kita rapat. Contohnya macam, okay, you have like, you nak cerita something but you rasa bersalah kalau tak cerita dekat kawan baik you. But if you think that you tak selesa untuk cerita dekat dia, you boleh cerita dekat sesiapa yang you rasa nak cerita dan percaya. Okay. Because like I say lah, bila you cerita, you also nak rasa tenang tu. Tapi if you cerita dekat orang yang you tak selesa, rasa yang you nak dapat tu tak tercapai. We not achieve our goals. Okay. And then mungkin yang rasa like handle grief dia masih teruk ke apa, okay, it's time for you actually to ask professional. So if you think that you tak boleh nak cerita dekat orang sekeliling you, your surrounding, so it's okay to cerita dekat professional. Okay, like if you are USM student, we have our own counselor dekat HEPA. Okay, so tak perlu malu pun untuk cerita dekat orang lain. So mungkin you kata nanti kalau cerita nangis pula. Crying dekat dalam grief is normal. So kalau you nangis ke apa, everything tu semua normal. Macam even right now pun, I ada juga menangis ke apa ke because itu one of the way untuk kita luahkan feelings kita. So, semua benda tu adalah normal. Okay. So, untuk mungkin ada yang dengar yang rasa macam like, dia rasa bersalah nangis sebab dia rasa macam like, dia seorang je yang kehilangan. No. You actually can like menangis. You tak salah pun sebenarnya menangis. Okay. And tengok masa. And ada things yang I think I would like to share. Macam like last, okay, this like last thing that I want to share. Mungkin kalau ada yang belajar crisis and grief fear, orang yang mengalami kehilangan. So, there's like one thing yang I rasa soalan-soalan yang I tak suka terima bila orang tanya I dalam fasa yang baru-baru tu. So maybe we as a counsellor here ataupun mungkin bakal counsellor ke, training counsellor ke, boleh masukkan ni as our tips lah bila kita deal dengan our client yang macam ni. So like avoid any questions yang macam contohnya lah you pergi teman dia ziarah moms dia ke, parents dia ke, orang yang dia kehilangan kan. Okay, please avoid questions yang tanya what happened to them. Contohnya lah macam you pergi melawat orang yang COVID, yang meninggal sebab COVID. So don't ask dia punya anak ke, dia punya pasangan ke like, kena COVID dekat mana. I think rasanya zaman sekarang soalan normal yang kita selalu dengar kena COVID kat mana. So please avoid that kind of questions ketika kita pergi jumpa dekat orang-orang yang baru kehilangan. Kalau dah lama okay lah, kalau macam like 2 weeks ke apa, okay, it's okay to ask. Tapi kalau macam baru sehari ke apa, please avoid questions yang macam, oh kena COVID kat mana, lama ke dia dekat hospital semua, lama ke dia kena tidurkan semua. So, please avoid that kind of question. Sebab I rasa soalan-soalan tu yang menambah beban moment I dengan menghadapi kematian tu. Okay, that's kind of question. So I think it's like a very good tips even for myself sebab macam bila I rasa sendiri I pun tak suka soalan macam tu. So I think it's not me alone. Okay, I'm sure like ramai lagi yang mungkin merasai benda yang sama kan tak suka that kind of questions. So I think it's a very good thing yang kita patut ingat lah. Okay. I think like it's almost 30 minutes right now. So I think I should stop here. So lastly, I nak ulang balik. So when you handle your grief, so it's please tell others. Bagi tahu orang yang you selesa untuk bagi tahu. And second, just give yourself time. Tak perlu cepat-cepat untuk move on. Kalau kita break up dengan power kita, tak perlu cepat-cepat nak move on sebab kita nak cari orang baru. Tapi untuk kematian, it's okay. Take your time, but if it affect your life, okay, you should ask for a professional. But if dia tak affect hidup you and you think you can deal with it, then it's okay. So that's all for me. Thank you. So I give back to Saru.
Thank you so much, Shira, for the sharing. Because I understand this was like something very, very close to your heart, very vulnerable to you at the beginning stage. You actually opened up to us in a very live sharing session. So we are like, we really have to thank you and thank you for sharing with us your own experience and how you coped with it and all. And to summarize on what Sheila said, she went through the loss of her mom, and then she shared how she coped with it. It was like talking to someone and giving yourself time to heal. It was like somewhat similar to what Brian has actually explained also, because it's also dealing with loss. So the most important, the how to say, the major point they've kept was to speak to someone. So I just want to ask Brian, do you have anything to say? Because Shira actually explained on her own experience. So do you have anything to say for Shira or anything regarding theories or that can relate to what Shira have shared?
Yeah, I think I like I would like to affirm Shira on boldness in actually sharing her personal story. I think it's a really great thing that you have done. I'm sure it will touch quite a number of lives over here, and hopefully those who are going through this as well. And I totally agree with you when you say, don't ask them what happened and things like that. Once I went for a grief seminar, and this is some take back that maybe I can share with all of you, um, where if I'm not mistaken, it was Dr. Anna Suya. She mentioned from KL. She mentioned that the best thing to do in this kind of situation is actually to just tell the person, "Hey, I'm here for you. Have you eaten?" These kind of questions, rather than what happened. They've been hearing this and they repeat it like a recorder for a long time already. So that kind of thing, what is those are the kind of statements. Have you eaten? Have you had your breakfast? These kind of things people often don't ask, and I think that's something that's quite important when, especially if it's during the funeral process and so on. Just be there for them. Hey, I'm here for you. That's it. Those kind of things. But of course, for different people, it may be different as well.
So yeah, thank you, Brian and Shira. So now we have a number of questions by audience. So the first one is Brian. What to do if we experience breakup with no closure? So we keep on questioning ourselves, our worth and etc. So what to do when we keep on questioning our self-worth and all?
All right. So when you have breakup with no closure, which is quite common for traumatic breakups, when one partner, let's say, cheats or does something really terrible, or both partners do something really terrible, and when the breakdown happens, uh, we have to have a clean break first. As in, there needs to be no more like how to say, what happened, no more like texting like is there still hope for me, like no more clinging onto the person. There needs to be some sort of you need to create that closure. I think the closure that this person is asking is that there's some explanation to what happened, right? Like in today's world, we say ghosted someone. Like, okay, I'm breaking up with you through text, and then after that, I just don't talk to the person. And then the person wants some closure. So you need to create that closure by saying, all right, I am going to stop this. That sort of closure, rather than, of course, you will still continue questioning yourself and all that. But when there's that attachment, then there's no closure. The only way closure is to happen is to cut it to cut it, and you make a commitment to yourself. And then of course when you are going for therapy and all that, that helps with the closure doesn't mean just getting an explanation from that person. Closure means you have flipped the page. You are ready to you are ready and open to adapting to life back again. You're no more fallen in the hole. You have gotten out of the hole. That is to close. That is actually closure. It is not getting explanation, because sometimes the person explain also is not closure. The person explain, you explain, and then worse problem sometimes, right? So it depends on the definition. But from what I say, do a clean break, go and work on picking yourself up. That is the closure that I kind of see can possibly help the person.
Thank you, Brian. And I think you have another question also, which is it healthy to be just friends after a breakup?
Yes, I think I saw that pop up earlier when okay, yeah, good that you picked this question because I really I read recently this book by Rachel Sussman, I think that's her name. The Breakup, sorry, the Breakup Bible, right? The Breakup Bible, and she's a psychotherapist, and she mentioned that to be just friends, there needs to be you need to analyze the whole situation first. If it was a traumatic breakup, it's a no-no. But of course, this is just based on observation. But because if it's a traumatic breakup and you want to remain just friends, it might not work straight away. However, if you have children involved, if the breakup is happening when there's children involved, it's good to stay some sort of friends. However, how are you going to remain friends? That is the issue. So the general consensus to this that most people agree is there needs to be a break first, a clean break for a while, and then slowly pick it up. But just on maybe there needs to be boundaries and so on. Because she also argues, and other people also that study relationships seem to argue that when people want to remain just friends, how do you draw the line between what has been done before and now? What has been spoken of before, the feelings, the emotions, for some people, especially for a lot of married couples, when they have children and all that, the family experiences and all that. How can you draw the line? It's a little bit difficult until both parties can heal already, and then maybe they can maintain. Usually, people maintain friendship if there's a task at hand, like children. Maybe they work together or things like that. But if there's really um, no what is that mutual task and all that, and you know for a fact that somehow when you're just friends and you go out and hang out, some other feelings arise, it's good to cut it. Because if not, it's going to be back to square one. So I would say it's a very difficult question. I think Chen Zuyin asked that. Very, very difficult question because um, you need to see the situation and the couple and their levels of maturity, if they can reach their level. Because I've seen really traumatic breakup, but because of the child, the parents still text each other, hey, okay, this weekend is yours, next weekend is mine. Just remain. It's called good rapport. Build good rapport, but you don't need to go and I love you, and no more, all that, because there's a clean break already. Okay, so that's just my sharing. Yeah.
It actually merely depends on the individual and circumstance, like if they want to be just friends or what. And that's a good answer because it's like very subjective for us to like come to a conclusion how it's going to work. So another one more question is, we have broken up for almost 2 years now, but I still think about him occasionally. When I listen to a song or go to a place, this person actually thinking about the partner when she or he hangs out to the place they have went before or when they listen to a song. So this person is asking, is it normal to feel this way?
Okay, like I think like Shira also mentioned that the loss, whatever loss, including death or including breakups, it takes time. One. So when I hear this, I can see that possibly that the closure has not been closed yet. Or maybe it's closed, but you are still picking. That's what we always say. This is due to the fact that because, okay, come on, we are human beings. We remember things from the time we are 5 years old. We cannot forget. A lot of things we cannot forget, especially when there's a lot of high degree of trust and so on. So uh, allow yourself to feel that. Allow yourself to understand that, oh, okay, this is a place that we used to hang out. I'm in a different year. I'm in a different situation right now. And I am here with my friend. I'm not here with him. I'm here with my friend also. But for me, I would avoid those places for a while until you get over and then only go to those places. But if you're purposely going to those places, because you want to reminisce, then it's opening the door. Or if you go there and the feelings are there naturally, it's good to distract yourself. Slowly try to focus on why you're there. You are not there. You are there probably to have a drink or to makan. You're not there to think about that. And there's this thing in mindfulness that I've learned regarding grief, where if you are in a place that reminds you of somebody, even if it's death or breakup, um, where if you're in that kind of place, what you need to do is you need to look at the objects that are near you or the people that are near you and ask you, why am I here? I'm here for this, I'm here for that, I'm here for, like there's food in front of me, I need to eat it. There's a friend here, I need to talk to the person. For a long time I never see this person, huh? And that's you orientate or reframe your mind into here and now, not the past. That's one method lah. But of course, I do agree with the person that asked the question. It is extremely difficult. Yeah, but hopefully you get some sort of closure and move on at your own pace.
Right, we understand that it's kind of normal also like to feel this way, and it's like it's better to distract at the moment, because if it's disturbing them, it's better to distract and to reframe it to here and now lah.
Yes. Also, if it bothers you, please talk to someone. Like I mentioned earlier, yeah, we have to reach out.
Yeah. Do reach out if it bothers you lah. So before we go to the next question, I have a reminder to all the participants. Please fill in the Google form to collect your MyCST point. The link to the Google form has been posted at Webex chat and FB chats as well. So just before our webinar ends, try to register yourself. So yeah, the next question is from Yashwin to Nashira, I think. Yeah. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss, Nashira. I have a question. My friend faced similar situation as yours. A mother died last year due to COVID, and ever since that incident, she sometimes misses her mother until at one point she posts chats pictures of her mother. I know her for 8 years, and I do know she is a strong person. So my question, as a dearest friend, what can I do for her? To simplify the question, this person's friend actually
Okay.
lost a mother. Yeah. So it's asking what he can do to help the friend, the friend.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so I think it's normal like macam like I say, because it's still new for her friends. So what you can do is just be there for her. Okay. If you think like she doesn't look okay, and then ask her if you are okay. So if you not say to her that you here for for her. Okay, that don't ask so many questions like why you miss her or anything. Don't just say to her that you there for her. If you want um if you want her to be there, if you want that you to be there, okay, just say to her, just assure her yang you sentiasa ada dengan dia. Okay, okay, that's enough. Okay, I think bila you cakap dekat dia that you are there for her, I think that's the thing that she wants to hear, because apa yang kawan you buat sekarang is a normal thing to do. Okay, macam like even myself pun kadang-kadang I ada post juga. It just like the it's not like 24 hours we think about that person that we lost. It's just like macam tiba-tiba you duduk and then you eat her favorite food, then you teringat, then you post. Okay, only that time. So after that, you tak nampak makanan tu and then you okay. So it's a normal thing, but just to make sure that your friends, okay, tanya dia if you are okay, if you not, then I'm here for you. Okay, that's the enough. So dia tahu yang if dia perlukan someone untuk bercakap, okay, dia tahu nak cari siapa. So as a friends, when you show that you always there for her, it is good for your friends. Okay, that's from me.
Shira, so the key is reassurance lah. So when you see your friend grieving, so you can just reassure your friend that you are being there for the friend. So yeah, that's now one more last question from the audience. To Mr. Brian, What do you think about a failed talking stage feeling like a breakup?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What do you think about a failed talking stage? It means you're talking to someone for a long time and then you stop talking to the person and it feels like a breakup. What do you think about it?
That's called ghosting, right? Nowadays, right? Where you talk to the person and then suddenly the person stops responding to you, and it still feels like a breakup.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is very common nowadays with the era of technology. People can talk a lot with anyone, and when these kind of things happen, I would say you would technically feel quite similar to a breakup, due to the fact that you have trusted the person. So I would say the same thing. What you would probably be feeling feelings of there's no closure. Why the person is suddenly you see the person has married somebody else, or these kind of things can happen. Stop talking to you and I married somebody else. Very common, very common. I had two clients that had this kind of case before, and when I see these kind of things, it is loss because the person has lost someone that the person has trusted, and if it's bothering the person, this person probably was a pillar of support. So same thing like what I mentioned earlier. Maybe take time to process what life was before this person came into your life, what you really wanted to do, and so on. And especially if it's really bothering you, you have to reach out. So the feelings are the same. The feelings are the
So, so we understand that when someone's just stop talking, like you say, ghosting is similar. The symptoms, the after effects are almost similar to a breakup, lah.
same. If the
So,
trust level is very high, like you are talking like as though you are like, because earlier I mentioned it is also similar for best friends. So technically, if the person is just a normal friend and stop talking to you, you won't be feeling this bad. Yeah. So that's why maybe you really put your heart and soul into it, and the person is just chatting like normal also. So and then stop talking to you.
a matter of attachment, lah.
Yep, the attachment, the degree of attachment.
Okay, so that's a good answer. Thank you, Mr. Brian. So I think that's it for the Q&A session. No more questions. So yeah, with this, I would like to thank Mr. Brian and Miss Shira so much for the sharing on coping with breakups and that. Thank you so much, Miss Shira, to share your own experience coming up with those stories and all. It's like an applaud to you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Brian, for so much of inputs on theories and the coping methods and all. And yeah, we would like to thank Dr. Shafrin, our advisor, for guiding us throughout and making this webinar a success. And then we'd like to thank BHEPA for the collaboration, and then USM support team, not forgetting our own school, School of Education. So yeah, thank you, my fellow friends, and thank you, participants, for joining us tonight. Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, guys, don't forget to fill in your Google form to collect your My CST.